Browns pulled off the upset of the week by beating the previously undefeated Packers 13-10 on Sunday. Cleveland didn't score until the fourth quarter and needed a 55-yard field goal as time expired to get the job done. But in the end, they came away with their first win of the season. And despite this effort, Deion Sanders has faith he's going to see his son Shedeur take the field. Listen.
Be patient and be ready. You got to be ready when it's time. But when it's time, you're going to know. I saying it's coming up. You know, I got a prediction. I ain't telling nobody. I got a feeling when it's going to go down. But it's going to go down this year. He's going to get a shot.
All right, Kmart, you follow this Browns team very closely. Do you believe Shedeur is going to get his shot?
I thought that he would get a shot in week 17 or 18 before the season started. Honestly, my opinion sort of is the same. Around as early as week 15, fine. But I don't think we're going to see him halfway through the season. And the reason I say this, not based off of his talent, Stephen Shea, it's really based off of the actions. I'm watching the head coach. I'm watching the organization. There's a reluctance to draft him. There's a reluctance to give him first-team reps during training camp. There's a reluctance to name him the number 2 quarterback. There's still another rookie quarterback ahead of him on the depth chart. So based off of those things that I'm observing, I think the kid is talented, but watching the organization, I would say no unless Joe Flacco is hurt.
I disagree. I think we're going to see him earlier than expected because I think their offense is awful. And I think that when you have your defense that's out there playing the way that they've played in 2 of the 3 weeks that they've played, showing you how elite they can be, then you can't continue to go week to week being as anemic and impotent offensively as the Joe Flacco-led offense has been. Eventually, obviously, you're going to put Dylan Gabriel in there. He's a bit undersized, even though he's skilled, he's a bit undersized, and I think that will be exposed come on NFL Sunday. And at some point in time, the fans there are going to clamor to see Shedeur Sanders, and I think that's going to be sooner than later. I'm not saying it's going to be the next 2 or 3 weeks, but I don't think it's going to take week 16 or 17 for this to happen. I think you're going to see it happen earlier, but by default, it's because their offense is significantly more god-awful than we suspected.
I mean, it worked itself out in the preseason, right? Like we saw Shedeur earlier than we thought because of injuries and whatnot. Like we could have the same situation happening because of their deficiencies on offense here in the regular season. All right.
The Packers, Evan, they beat the Packers.
You're a bad guy.
I couldn't remember.
How'd the Patriots fare?
They lost.
Oh.
They lose a lot. Like a lot over the last 4 or 5 years. Like horrifically bad. Like they're awful at times. That's what happens with them. At Midas, you win when you walk through their doors. At Midas, they're rolling out the limited lifetime tire guarantee included with every tire purchase with paid installation. You'll pay nothing for flat repairs or replacements. Real value with honest service you can count on mile after mile. It's a limited lifetime tire guarantee only at Midas. So if you think about the Browns right now and you think about controversies around their team, there are none, right? I mean, like all of a sudden, what happened on Sunday eliminated, at least for now, any conversation about Joe Flacco to the bench and Dylan Gabriel starting their backup quarterback. At least for now. It's not like they had some unbelievable offensive output. But I say this, unfortunately, as someone that absolutely roots for the Sanders family. Deion did this week what NFL teams honestly were afraid that he was going to do. He did nothing wrong, but this is what they were afraid of. He was on the New Heights podcast with Jason and Travis Kelce and commented on his son, Shedeur, who's, of course, a quarterback on the Cleveland Browns.
Been keeping up with Shedeur in Cleveland. What's the best piece of advice you've given him as a dad and as a coach?
Be patient and be ready. You got to be ready when it's time. But when it's time, you're going to know. And it's coming up.
There we go.
You know, I got a prediction. I ain't telling nobody. I got a feeling when it's going to go down. But it's going to go down this year.
It's going to happen. All right.
Yeah, he can get a shot.
And that's all you can ask for as a player. All you can ask for is the opportunity, right?
Tell me this, because this is all over the media, because I know y'all keep it a buck. That's why I love y'all to life.
Yes.
They made a big deal out of Philly called us on draft day.
Okay.
They didn't mention that. I just let a cat out of the bag.
I didn't know that. Yeah, okay.
Who was it? Baltimore. And the Browns. And the Browns. They forget, I know, I played for Baltimore, so me and Ozzie are cool. So we understood that whole conversation, and he wanted to talk to Shedeur as well as he wanted to talk to me. And I put Shedeur on the phone, and Shedeur, I don't want to say how it went, but how in the world can somebody fault him for saying or thinking, why in the world would I go back up Lamar for 10 more years?
For sure.
I've never sat on the bench and said, well, I learned a lot today.
Okay, a couple of things there. First, the last thing. I mean, Deion is arguably the greatest cornerback of all time, so the idea of him sitting on the bench would be odd and learning from someone else. I'm not saying you cannot learn from someone that is worse than you. The concept of Deion sitting on the bench for someone worse than him would be odd in general.
He's the best athlete
to ever live.
Every single time he touches the field.
Right. So that part he's not saying tongue in cheek. I'm taking it tongue in cheek. Okay. This is unfortunately why teams weren't interested. Because of this. Now you have the most prominent sports dad along with LeBron James making projections and predictions that he's going to start. Deion saying Shedeur is going to start this year would indicate not beating out just one guy, but two guys. One guy who's won a Super Bowl as a starting quarterback and who just won a game against arguably playing the best team in the NFL at the time in Green Bay, and the other guy who was drafted ahead of him. I'm rooting for Shedeur Sanders. 100% rooting for Shedeur Sanders. I don't see the path where he's going to be the starter this year. And by the way, one more thing. If you're not the starter this year, I just personally don't get how backing up Jalen Hurts or Lamar Jackson would have been a bad thing to learn from them. That one I don't get.
Well, here's the thing. You're a backup for the Cleveland Browns, and you're not close to seeing the field. If I'm going to back up for the Cleveland Browns, I'd rather be a backup behind Lamar Jackson, who's a future Hall of Famer.
That's right.
I'd rather be a backup at a program that seems buttoned up and has been for the last 2 decades. I just don't understand why you wouldn't want to take advantage of that situation if you're a player. Now, I get it. Quarterback is different because only one guy plays as opposed to another position group where there might be a way to crack the lineup. But here's the thing that I would say. If you're Shedeur Sanders, knowing the scrutiny that you're coming into the NFL with, it just seems like it would make sense to put yourself in the most stable situation to give yourself the best opportunity to develop into a guy that can be around this league for a long time. Even if that means you're not seeing the field for meaningful snaps for the Ravens in the regular season, there's an opportunity to enhance your value by what you do behind the scenes, by what you do in preseasons moving forward. So eventually it will get to the point where another organization might include you in their future quarterback plans. So I just feel like it was a little bit short-sighted for Shedeur and for Deion to take that tact when it comes to the draft process and pressure the NFL into putting Shedeur in a situation like the Cleveland Browns. I guess, to make the point, if you're Shedeur Sanders and you manipulated the draft process to get to a place where you thought you could play sooner rather than later, if that doesn't end up being the case, if you don't end up playing, then it was a miss. And right now, that's what it's shaping up to be in terms of his situation, his standing with the Cleveland Browns.
I can't fault him for wanting to play. I can't fault him for having the ultimate competitive nature and wanting to put himself in a position where he thinks that he is going to start sooner rather than later. But then you better win the job, and he didn't. And I think part of the issue here is that his mentor is his father, who is significantly better at football than he is. And that's not to say that Shedeur can't find a path and have a productive NFL career. I think we can firmly say he's never going to be as good as his dad. He's never going to be as good as his dad. And that's not us being haters. That's not us taking shots.
Literally no one will.
Literally no one can. Yeah. And so when that person is your mentor and is your steward through this process, what would have worked for him may not work for you. But how are you not going to listen to your dad? Of course he has your best interests at heart, and he knows way better than most people going through this process what is the best thing to do and someone that you should lean on for advice. But Tom Brady talked about this on the Fox broadcast this week. Sometimes for a quarterback, especially not a quarterback taken in the first round, it is the most advantageous path for you to sit behind someone who you can learn from. Sit behind somebody who can mentor you. Sit behind somebody who's in a stable organization and who's learned how to be a starting quarterback. He talked about how he learned from Drew Bledsoe. I don't know, worked out for Aaron Rodgers, learning from Brett Favre. We haven't seen the best of Jordan Love yet, but it seems like it worked out for him, learning from Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. Alex Smith, Patrick Mahomes, sometimes it's the best thing for you if you are not ready to put yourself in a position to learn, to be a sponge, to be malleable. And Shedeur didn't do that. And we'll see how it plays out in his career if that was in fact the right way to go.
Absolutely right. Good examples all around. I have a question off of this. And again, I want to reiterate, I am somebody that's rooting for Shedeur and hope that Deion is right, because all Deion has ever done is support his children. So how can you fault him for that? Here's the question I have. Fill in the blank for me. Shedeur Sanders is the blank most likely player to start a quarterback for the Browns this season, numerically. Second most likely, third most likely, fourth, fifth. How many guys could you imagine starting a quarterback this year for the Cleveland Browns before they get to him? Flacco's one, obviously.
So you're basically saying Dylan Gabriel or him?
Let's start. Well, there's others.
Right, but I would imagine those two are in
Joe
the same
Flacco
conversation.
retires tomorrow. Who's their starting quarterback?
Well, wouldn't you think that they would give it